What's going on, everyone? Russ from 276 Legion here, and we have guests today. Well, Chi is technically part of the channel because he's in the
Part of the
intro.
channel.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
part of the channel. Gabe is our guest. So Gabe, say hi.
Hello, I'm Gabe.
Chi.
I don't know where to look.
Hi, everyone. What do I do with my hands?
Okay, so today's video is, which you know from the title, characters that we feel deserve their own series or movies. All of mine, I said series. What did y'all say?
I got some curveballs
For
you.
me, I kind of feel like not necessarily like a movie or a series, but just more recognition than what they get.
Mm-hmm.
Like even though some are considered like some of mine are canon, but some of mine aren't, which is kind of weird because they're all tied together through the Old Republic, and so maybe they'll be made canon by later on by Disney. I don't know, but just kind of give more recognition and where they come from, Old Republic. A lot of people don't like that style of game, like turn-based combat, and it took me a minute to like get over it. But once you do, man, it's like a story that's just so cool and so awesome that really isn't pushed as much as it needs to be.
Also, show off that sweater.
Oh yeah, check it out. Where did I get this from? Can we put a link in the description for this because I want to shout this company out. It's actually a chick. She makes all kinds of shirts like this. It's just her, and
So I
it's
mean,
really awesome.
Is that a reference I don't get, or is it just kind of like ironic?
I mean, it's like at the end of Rise of Skywalker where like he's Ben Solo and he's pretty people on Twitter and everywhere call it the good boy sweater.
Okay.
It's pretty much just like instead of him being all decked out in the Kylo stuff, he pretty much just throws it all away and all that's left is like his under tunic, which looks like a sweater.
Okay.
Nice and casual.
Yeah.
So we're gonna start this off with me and Chi we share this one. Darth Revan, or Revan, he was Revan and then he was Darth Revan and then he was Revan again. So for me, here's my little backstory for you. Jedi turned Sith and he lost his memory due to an attack from Darth Malik. Once he regained his memory, he realized who had wronged him, and he was a Jedi once more, vowed to destroy the dark side, so powerful with the Force and self-control that he was able to wield light and dark forces, which is freaking sick. He led a group known as the Revanchists, who helped the Jedi Order during the Mandalorian Wars. Revan deserves his own series for the fact that he is now canon within the Star Wars universe, and Disney should take this time to tell a fascinating story of good, evil, and love to bring Revan and his abilities to the forefront.
He definitely deserves to, like, he's probably the biggest, even though he's canon now.
Yeah.
He's is like the biggest legend, like from the Legends comics, and he was so big that they pushed him into canon. And like, I feel like they wouldn't just do that to be like, oh, well, you guys wanted him in canon, so here he's canon. I feel like, I mean, especially with like success of Mandalorian and the Bad Batch and all these other shows that are coming out and really expanding. I mean, like no one really thought, hey, let's just make this show about just this one Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Like, let's just make it like. I feel like they are going to do something with his property, whether it be a show or a movie. Lots of people, and like if you even just look up Darth Revan, there's always going to be a picture of Keanu Reeves as Darth Revan, and that's kind of like the community. Like we want him to be Revan, which I 100% agree with. I love Keanu Reeves. I think he's a fantastic actor, and I feel like he would really tie the character of Revan like down to him, and I think it'd be really good.
I agree completely. I saw a fan-made teaser trailer it was mostly scenes from 47 Ronin, and instead of his samurai sword, it's a lightsaber. But it was probably the best fan-made trailer I have ever seen. Some of them are really garbage.
Yeah.
But this one was actually pretty decent. But he's awesome. He's so freaking cool.
So like here's pretty much like how his story came to be. So he got into the Jedi Order. This is back in like the Old Republic. So this is like
It's like 4,000
yeah,
years.
it's like 3,800 years before A New Hope. So it's around 4,000 years. So the hierarchy of the Jedi Council is completely different. So they take him in, and he's like straight from the bat, like even when he's a small child, like they can tell he's super strong in the Force. But he has this buddy named Malik, and they're pretty much inseparable. They go on all kind of think of like a Anakin and Obi-Wan type thing during the Clone Wars, like they're just kind of like bound together. But they go through the just Jedi training from when they're children all the way up till they're adults, and then before they are like masters yet, the Mandalorian Wars are going on, and that's not part of their conflict. So they feel they need to go and instigate anyway. So, like, at the behest of the entire Jedi Order, they go to fight in these Mandalorian Wars, and they never come back. And what happens while they're gone is something happens to them, and they get brought to the dark side. And everyone thinks that they are, like, dead, pretty much, because no one heard anything from them again. No one ever saw them. But later, they like show themselves again, and there's this whole big thing. If you want to play Knights of the Old Republic, go play it. It's really good. But it turns out that like even though they are friends still, their relationship kind of dissipates there at the end. Like at one point in time during they're called like the Jedi Civil War. The whole reason Malik has this like brace around his like mouth is because
I like to call
Revan.
it his iron jaw.
It really, that's what it looks like. I didn't know what was wrong with him when I first looked at him. I was like, what's wrong with this guy? But apparently Revan cuts his jaw off with a saber. And so they got some bad blood. But eventually, after the events of KOTOR, like you said, he gains his, that attack from Malik makes him completely forget about who he was. So he becomes a Jedi once again. And then after that, he kind of just picks a good median and becomes like a true gray Jedi. Like or not even a Jedi. He's just a gray Force user. That's it. He doesn't have any affiliations with anybody. He doesn't care what, like, it's just the Force, and like there's no rules to it, like, oh well, you can't be married, or you can't have kids, or you can't be in a relationship. It's just him in the Force, and like he is so strong in the Force that like he died once, but he was so strong that he willed his body back to life. Like he brought the energy from the Force and was like, no, I'm not gonna die, and he came back to life. And I was like, that's crazy. That is stupid awesome.
So with talking about him being a gray Force user, I think we should talk about Bastille Chan now.
Bastila, she in Knights of the Old Republic, like she's an original character from there. At first, like my first impressions of her were like, she's kind of cool, but I feel like I guess the best way I can explain it is like when you first start out in Knights of the Old Republic, like obviously you're a Force user, and but you can't really, like, you don't know it at first, and you're just kind of like this run-of-the-mill grunt, and everyone talks about all these Jedi, and they're like how powerful they are and stuff, and you wind up going in the story, and you meet her later, and like when you first meet her, she's kind of like pushy, arrogant, I'm a Jedi, and I know I'm a Jedi type thing, and I was like, okay, great. I mean, she backed it up. I mean, she was like really skilled with the saber and really powerful and stuff, but the more you get to play like with her, it turns into like a really cool dynamic, because like you can tell that she wants to like befriend you and like have I wouldn't say like romantic feelings, but feelings for you. But she can't, like, there's several dialogue sections where they just talk about you can tell she's troubled, and she has a really cool character arc. Plus, she has a freaking awesome saber too. She's got a gold saber, which I feel like nobody knew was a thing until Rise of Skywalker came out. They're like, "Whoa, Rey's got a gold saber. That's so cool." But yeah, I really enjoy Bastila. She's pretty cool.
All right, Gabe, do you want to give us yours?
So you may start with my first one, I'm guessing.
Yeah, give us
Go
your
on to
first
someone
one.
else, because I'm writing down some few notes as we go along about my other two. So my first one is I want a short story. That's all I want. I want a short story, maybe, I don't know, 10 minutes long, of a very new to the Star Wars canon character. His name is Blue Jean Guy. So I guess I should explain for those who don't know. In the Mandalorian series, in one of the episodes, right around the corner behind the Mandalorian, you can see a man wearing a t-shirt and blue jeans for a very split second before the camera cuts. So, I mean, a lot of people picked up on that. We're making fun of the creators on Twitter and all that. And I think maybe the next day, maybe not even that, Disney went in and corrected it using editing software. And apparently you can still see his watch on his hand in the scene. So his watch is still just floating there while the rest of his body is gone. So
it's a magical watch.
It's a magical watch. That's how it all happens. I want a short series just documenting, just how he came to be there and how he got out of there so quickly. I apologize for that. My other two are better, I promise.
I enjoyed
I
that.
think it's a story that needs to be told in this universe.
Yeah. Just because
no stone unturned.
Disney needs to be more transparent with us.
So who else you got? What's your second?
Oh, okay. So my other two kind of go hand in hand with each other, because I believe what I want to see, which this is just me dreaming. If I ever see either of these two characters become more relevant in the canon, they're probably going to be separate entities. But I would love to see a video game with both of these two characters as being main characters of the story. So the first one I want to talk about, his name is Karak and Philia, and he was with the Jedi Order originally, but he took something known as the Barash Oath, I believe is how it's pronounced.
Can you tell me if I'm wrong guessing. I believe that is how it's pronounced.
Yeah. So this oath is he's still following the ways of the light side at this point, but he decides he doesn't like the way the Jedi Order is running things, and he doesn't want to be a part of it anymore. So he is dedicating his life force to being a part of the Force itself. So before any of this had ever happened, he was training with the Jedi Order to specialize in combat. And that's when he finally decided to leave the Jedi Order. That's what he's still focused on. He had a droid name, I think it was Aresh, or Arex, I believe. Arex was his droid's name, and it was a combat droid, and he trained with him during his leave from the Jedi Order. And because he had left the Order so early on, he wasn't killed during Order 66 because no one knew he existed. So after the Order 66 happened, he decided to seek revenge for what had happened to all the people he knew in the Order of the Jedi. So the reason I found him so awesome, and Chi can tell you because he's read the comics that I haven't, but he, because of his training with weapons and combat, he was actually able to defeat Vader at a confrontation by sending him off a cliff. And, he kind of thinks he's dead at this point, but Vader had actually survived, as we know. But they had a second confrontation where Vader knew he couldn't beat him with combat, so he tricked him and flooded an entire city. And Karak pleaded for Vader to kill him and save the lives of the people. And Vader, with the force, snaps his neck and tosses him into the village and drowns him with the rest of the people. And then my second character, her name is Shirabri, or she also goes by Lumia, and she was a Sith assassin. And she, during her training, Vader found that he really liked her and wanted her to be a bigger part of things, and kind of fast-tracked her through her training to be an assassin for him, and sent her on the mission of either killing or capturing Luke and his allies. But she was eventually defeated by them, and her body was pretty mangled, and Vader had her turned into a cyborg kind of like himself. And then she continued to follow along with him, but eventually Luke defeated Vader, and she wanted to get revenge. And she had gotten revenge on a lot of Luke's allies. And by the time she was finally satisfied with the work she had done to get revenge, she faced off with Luke, and Luke was able to kill her. And the reason I found these two characters really interesting was because of both of their weapons. Karak has a curved lightsaber, and it looks kind of like a samurai sword. And Shirabri has what they call a light whip, and it kind of looks like a big, long electric whip made of pretty much lightsaber. It's the same as a lightsaber, but it's a long whip. And I would love to see both these characters in a video game together, where we're playing as both of them, following their stories and their triumph that eventually leads to death.
And one thing about the Jedi that fought Vader was that confrontation between them. It actually stems from like right after Revenge of the Sith, whenever, the whole no thing, with Anakin. So it picks up literally like as soon as that panel ends in that comic, and this is canon too. As soon as that's over, Palpatine just shocks him, and he's like, "Listen here, loser, go get your saber. You lost it." And he was like, "Well, it's on Mustafar. It's just destroyed." And he's like, "Well, go get a new one." So he goes and he tries to find a Jedi that he can take his saber. So he ends up finding him. And like Gabe said, like this is right after he gets his body. This is his first, he's just learning to walk again, like in his body. So he's on the top of this mountain, and the droid is up there as well. And he makes his way up there, and like stuff like tries to fall on him. There's a whole bunch of traps on the way up to the top. And once he gets up there, like you said, he bests Vader in combat, and straight up is like just force pushes him off of a cliff, and he lands down there in the rubble, and like he's missing like a leg, and he has to like fix it and kind of just like makeshift a leg and like limbs and stuff. And like you said, he thinks he's dead, but he ends up seeing him again, and he ends up killing him, like you said. But the coolest part about it, especially in that issue, is after that he contacts Palpatine, and he's like, "I have my saber." And he's like, "Well, you need to bleed the crystal," which is what all Sith do.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes to a place strong with the Force nearby. It's kind of like a cave, and he takes the crystal out, and he starts, like focusing in on it, channeling his anger into it, and it explodes, and it knocks him back, and it knocks one of his eye lenses out, and you see he doesn't have Sith eyes anymore. It's Anakin, and he says, "What have I done?" And he goes back to Coruscant for to go see Palpatine, and he's like, "Oh, my student." He's like, "I see you've returned with your saber. May I see it?" And he ignites it, and it's green. He goes, "So I see you made your choice." He's like, "I have." And they fight, and Vader ends up killing Palpatine. And you're like, "Whoa, what is this? This is crazy. You wouldn't imagine this." Then Vader goes and finds Obi-Wan and takes off his helmet and like bows to him, and he's like, "I'm so sorry." He's asking for forgiveness. And then it ends, and then it's a flash. It's like what would happen if he did that, and then he's like, no, I refuse, I'm not going back to that style of life again, and he bleeds the crystal. But there, when you're reading it, you're like, what? You're like, this is crazy. You don't
It's
expect it at
freaking
all.
sick.
It's awesome. The whole series is like that too.
I think
And
doesn't
it's
he destroy the hilt too after he makes a
Mhm.
new one? Right.
Yep.
I'm going to get into my second one here. Exar Kun. Y'all ever heard of him before?
Don't think
I
so.
think so.
Okay. Born over 4,000 years before the Battle of Yavin, Exar Kun was a young Force-sensitive human who was found by the Jedi and brought to the Jedi Temple on Dantooine. As he trained and became stronger, he wanted to be the greatest Jedi to ever live, and with that, he became arrogant. His master, Vodo Siaskabas, had trained him well and knew of Exar's talent with lightsabers. One day, Exar opened his master's holocron, which revealed hidden knowledge only available to those who were Jedi Knights or above. Knowledge of the Dark Lords of the Sith. His master found him and scolded him for his actions. This information fascinated Exar Kun, and he went to Onderon, where he discovered the tomb of Sith Lord Frieden Nod, and also where his journey to the dark side begins. Exar Kun deserves a series for the interest that many fans have in the dark side, because we really don't get to see a lot of dark side. A lot of it is mostly following the light side, and I think we need more stories on the dark side.
See, that's what I keep on telling Caleb, man. I'm like,
Yeah.
Fallen Order was really good, but
Mhm.
like they totally have an opportunity to be like, because it's called Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah.
That's why we need a Star Wars Sith whatever.
Yeah, we
Like-
talked about that with Lee and Nathan. Lee was like, I just want a red lightsaber. And I was like, yeah, but it's Jedi Fallen Order. And he's like, well, we need a Sith game. And I was like, yeah, I agree. We really do need more Sith stuff, because it's just as important as the Jedi are. Because it's a constant battle in the galaxy between the light and the dark, constantly getting power back and having it taken away from them, and just back and forth.
But they did listen to fans though, because on May the 4th in 2020, they put a red lightsaber,
Yeah.
like a red crystal in there, which I was like, that's awesome, because that's totally what I wanted to.
Mhm. We've seen so much about the light side of the Jedi ways. We're just really starting to see the ways of the Mandalorians, so we need to see a series on some of the Jedis turned Sith. That's what I got for Exar Kun.
Yeah. See, I completely agree with the Sith thing. We need more of that. It may not be everyone's favorite, but it is badass.
Oh, it's sick, man. It's so sick.
See, like that's like the cool thing. Like, dude, picking somebody up just from like the Force and snapping their neck and just throwing them,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, this is so cool. It's so awesome. Like,
I mean, like,
the Sith are just so much cooler than the Jedi. They really
Like,
are. Like
you don't
Jedi,
got Jedi
cool,
don't got
but-
assassins with freaking electric whips.
No.
You know?
no, dude. Like pretty much everything like looks cooler. Like, we always heard or like saw T-shirts or whatever. It was like, oh, come to the dark side. We have whatever, and like, dude, it really is cool because like, dude,
They got the cool stuff.
They get the cool stuff. Like, dude, I have it's right up here. I have Kylo Ren's shuttle, and like, dude, his shuttle looks awesome. His ship is so cool because like, and Republic's like, we got X-wings. I'm like, bro, how about a freaking Star Destroyer? How about that? Okay, like, dude, we got the cool stuff.
I mean, like, just looking at Kylo's lightsaber, like, I don't love the design of his lightsaber, but look how unstable it is. I love it.
Dude, it's so cool. Like, even on his hilt, man, like, he's got exposed wires. He's got like half-rigged soldering in there that's like not even like good, and he just threw it together because he was like, well, I don't really got another saber, so I might as well add these exhaust ports.
So, Chi, you have one more, right?
Yeah, I got
Malik.
Malik, but Malik and Revan are kind of just
Yeah.
tied in. The only thing that's different about like, if there was going to be a movie about Revan, Malik's going to be in it too.
Yeah.
Only thing different about them is like, he turns on Revan and ends up killing him. And Revan comes back for revenge and ends up killing him on this thing called the Star Forge. And just that story alone pretty much knocks the Old Republic the game. That could be made into a movie, and it would sell like crazy.
And then for my last one, Darth Malgus. Standing at 7 feet tall with a cybernetic respirator from Droman Koss. The tall, the bald, the creepy yellow-eyed Sith, Darth Malgus. Malgus's power was first seen when he murdered a Twi'lek servant and was then found by the Sith. He was trained, and then he and his master faced 2 Jedis. His master was wounded with a lightsaber to the torso. Malgus managed to kill the 2 Jedi and then killed his master as he saw his master as being weak for being wounded by the Jedi.
Wow.
After the Sith Empire decided to negotiate with the Republic rather than destroy it, Malgus left the Empire and ventured off to discover the unseen parts of the galaxy. Malgus deserves a series because his story would be awesome to see. His rise within the Sith, his journey to the far reaches of the galaxy, and his eventual return to set up a new Sith Empire. Like, he straight up comes back after discovering these unseen places in the galaxy and is like, I'm here, I'm starting my own Sith Empire, and I am the Emperor. And he just starts bringing in all these Sith apprentices and like turns some Jedis over and stuff. Like, it's sick, and he's 7 foot tall and he looks really creepy. So
see, that's the cool thing about Sith, man, is like, dude, like, he straight up whacked his master because he was like, you're dead weight, you're garbage, and he just ends him. Like, no Jedi would ever do that.
All right, everyone, so that's gonna do it for this episode of 276 Legion. I'm Russ.
I'm Gabe.
And hopefully we'll do more of these because this has been a lot of fun.
I like it. Well, if we can set it up again, we'll do it again.
All right, so we will see you guys in the next video. Peace. Oh, and remember, the Force will be with you always.